The world rarely presents us with evil, with distorted faces or declared intentions. In fact, the most dangerous shadows are those that have learned to walk in the sunlight, mimicking virtue. From the avatar's perspective, identifying a genuinely malicious person requires you to stop listening to what they say and start observing the silent frequency of their actions. Evil is not an isolated event, but a constant architecture of destruction and exploitation that operates in the blind spots of your kindness. Today, we will remove the veil of appearances and explore the 7 psychological signs that you are facing a darkened soul, someone who consumes the peace of others to feed their own emptiness. The first sign, and perhaps the most seductive, is the use of a barbed mask of perfidious charm. The avatar observes that evil is rarely immediately rude. It is often dazzling. These individuals develop an almost cinematic ability to be exactly who you need them to be: the attentive mentor, the perfect friend, or the ideal partner. However, this brilliance is what the ancients called a shining shell hiding a bitter truth. Charm, when genuine, seeks connection. When malicious, it seeks to disarm. If you feel that someone is too perfect, or if your gut instinct sends a warning signal despite their sweet words, understand that the soul is colored by its thoughts, and an impeccable facade is often the cost of hiding a nature that could not withstand the light of truth. Moving on to the second sign, we find the absence of moral resonance, manifested as an absolute lack of empathy. For the avatar, empathy is the bridge that allows one consciousness to recognize another. However, for the malicious person, this bridge has been imploded. They do not see human beings. They see tools or obstacles. Observe how they react to your pain. They not only ignore your suffering, they often use it as an opportunity to divert the focus to themselves or to diminish your vulnerability, treating it as trivial. Their interactions are purely transactional. When you pour out your heart, they respond with coldness or indifference, as they are incapable of stepping outside their own ego to validate others' experiences. This emotional disconnection is the window into a hollow soul, where others have no intrinsic value, only momentary utility. The third mark of a darkened soul, and perhaps the most insidious, is the constant manipulation of reality. The avatar understands that these individuals do not thrive through integrity or merit, but through the deliberate distortion of truth, transforming deception into their most efficient weapon. Seneca once left us a forceful warning: he who has many fears also has many things to manipulate. In everyday life, this malice manifests in individuals who weave subtle narratives to undermine your work, inflate small errors to make them seem like catastrophic failures, and when confronted, maintain a glacial calm, claiming they are just trying to help. This tactic seeks to erode your self-confidence until you feel in a state of dependence, believing that you need their validation or guidance to be good enough. They don't just lie, they make you question your own memory and judgment, a process that consumes your mental clarity. While truth is resilient and requires no maintenance, the lies of these individuals are fragile and demand constant layers of new deceptions to keep from crumbling. For the avatar's psychology, awakening requires you to step out of this shadow play. As Epictetus taught, no man is truly free if he is not the absolute master of himself and his perceptions. The fourth sign reveals an insatiable hunger for control, which acts as oxygen for a malicious spirit. They do not merely wish to influence your actions, they seek to dominate your thoughts, your emotions, and your autonomy. Marcus Aurelius taught that true strength lies in knowing that your mind is under your command, not external circumstances. Therefore, the first strategy of these individuals is to remove this awareness from you, making you believe that control of your life belongs to them. Often this domination begins disguised through advice that seems helpful, but gradually introduces deprecating comments designed to make you feel incapable. They use guilt and shame as instruments of subjugation, planting doubts about your worth to ensure you remain within their grasp. For the avatar, autonomy is the greatest power you possess, and it should not be surrendered to anyone. Those who operate in the light and truly care about your being will empower you to make your own decisions and grow in your own direction, while the darkened soul will do everything in its power to imprison your will within the confines of its own dominion. Protecting the integrity of your mind is not just a choice, it is the starting point for your true liberation. The fifth sign, and one of the most revealing for the avatar, is the silent pleasure in the suffering of others. For deep psychology, the act of deriving satisfaction from the pain of others is one of the clearest signs of a soul in moral decay. Epictetus advised that we should associate only with those who make us better, but the malicious individual operates in the opposite direction. They do not seek growth, but the degradation of others to feel superior. This behavior often begins subtly, almost imperceptibly. A sarcastic comment at the wrong moment, suppressed laughter in the face of others' misfortune, or a slight smile of satisfaction upon witnessing a colleague's failure. These individuals do not build their own worth through merit. They try to elevate themselves by climbing on the shoulders of those they manage to bring down. For the avatar, the adversity of others is not seen by them as a lesson in empathy, but as a tool for their ego. At the root of this behavior lies a profound insecurity. The darkened soul needs the world around it to bleed so that it doesn't feel so empty. Awakening requires you to recognize this suppressed smile in the tragedies of others. For every moment spent in the presence of someone who feeds on pain is a moment in which you lose your own peace and personal value. The sixth sign is the use of isolation as a tactical weapon. Marcus Aurelius taught that human beings were born for cooperation and that our strength lies in unity and mutual support. However, for the malicious individual, this natural order is what they most wish to sabotage. The strategy is calculated. By separating you from your loved ones, friends, and support groups, the darkened soul not only drains your emotional strength, but also makes you a much easier target to control and manipulate. This psychological maneuver is rarely aggressive at first. It is woven with subtle negative comments about those closest to you, such as, "Your best friend doesn't treat you well," or "Your family doesn't understand you like I do." The goal is to sow doubt and create an artificial distance between you and your support system, convincing you that the manipulator is the only one who truly cares about your well-being. For the avatar, unity is the foundation of resilience. If you begin to feel increasing isolation or a detachment from the people who have always loved you, stop and reflect. You may be being led into the center of a web where your autonomy will be the next piece to be consumed. The seventh and final sign, which seals the fate of a darkened soul, is the heart without regret. Through the avatar's lens, error is a natural part of the human journey, a necessary step for the ascent of consciousness. But for the malicious person, error is something that must be denied, hidden, or transferred to others. They possess a chronic inability to admit fault and an almost physical aversion to offering genuine apologies. For them, self-reflection and the acknowledgement of a flaw are not signs of maturity, but rather of weakness. If you confront a malicious individual about the harm they have caused, prepare to encounter a labyrinth of elaborate justifications and cynical excuses. They live in a state of profound denial, where the problem never lies with them, but rather with circumstances or the supposed exaggerated sensitivity of their victims. This absolute refusal to change is what makes them truly dangerous, for without the acknowledgement of error, there is no room for evolution. While the wise understand that the courage to face one's own shadows is what liberates us, The malicious soul prefers to remain imprisoned in its own arrogance, perpetuating cycles of destruction without any shadow of remorse. We have reached the end of this journey of discernment, and the Avatar's final advice is clear. Your goodness is a sacred resource and should not be wasted on soils that reject the seed of change. Recognizing these signs is not an invitation to hateful judgment, but an imperative for your self-protection. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we should focus our minds and energy on thoughts and people that elevate the quality of our lives. Not all souls you encounter are ready for the light, and your primary responsibility is to safeguard your own peace and integrity against the chaos of others. Do not try to save those who do not wish to be saved, and do not allow the toxicity of an unrepentant heart to invade your sacred space. Set firm boundaries, remain anchored in your truth, and continue to walk towards the mastery of being. Your awareness is your shield, and your clarity is your greatest weapon against manipulation. If this awakening has brought the necessary lucidity to identify the shadows that surround you, know that this is just the beginning of a more authentic and protected life. Subscribe to our network to continue awakening the Avatar within you and to strengthen your spirit against the illusions of the world. The journey of self-knowledge requires courage, and we are here to guide you. See you in the next video.